So, as you know, I think we are redoing all of our standing rigging, and we're doing it in synthetic line Dyneema, which is a brand name. I think I'm gonna make a video before this one explaining the difference, because there's no place where like all the information on Dyneema is in one spot. So I think I'm gonna make a little video on that. But whatever. So we're using this stuff called ducks. Dyneema ducks, which is a type of Dyneema that has been heat stretched to get all the stretch out of the line. That way, we don't have to constantly keep adjusting the rigging the first few times out sailing or even standing still. It's kind of pre-tensioned. We will have to pre-tension it again after we do our splicing, because as we splice, we're gonna add some stretch back into the line. But we won't have stretch throughout the whole line, just where those splices are. So we'll just tension those a little bit before we put our rigging on, and then it shouldn't have much stretch left in it. So this is 9mm ducks, and we're also going to cover it so that UV won't get to it, which it is relatively UV resistant, especially compared to other types of line. Standard, they're saying, is 5 to 8 years for replacement in the tropics, and even after that time frame, there's still so much strength left in the line that it's still perfectly safe. I don't know if I said that right, but they're saying 5 to 8 years before replacement. But if we have a cover on it and UV's not getting to it, then it could be much, much longer than that. It's a Dyneema cover. We went with 2 different companies for our hardware. So there's a company called Caligo, which they've been awesome. They supplied our hardware for our Dyneema lifelines, and we got a bunch of hardware from them for this project as well. Some Terminators and their own kind of style dead eyes, and you'll see them. And then we also went with another company called Kraken Structures, and they have this guy Luke is Kraken Structures, and he makes his own dead eyes out of a Dyneema Infinite loop and thimbles. Luke makes some really nice dead eyes, and he's very, very knowledgeable as well. So we're gonna talk to both companies, use both techniques, and just see what the advantages and disadvantages are and the difference between the two. But we're gonna talk to Luke here in a minute. And I'm just opening up our spool of Dyneema we have here. Ooh, this is a expensive spool. You usually can tell ducks because it's a lot harder than, it's like hard. Like Dyneema line is usually pretty soft, like Amstel, but this is hard. What up, bro? Can I film you?
Yeah, that's fine.
Are those numbers in millimeters?
Yeah, everything's in millimeters.
I don't have a millimeter ruler.
Well, I mean, once you do the numbers on the spreadsheet, you can convert.
So Luke is a rigger and the owner of Kraken Structures, and his main business is to do the rigging and make the shrouds for people, but he'll consider doing a consultation like he did for us if you are set on doing it yourself.
So, just rolling the truck forward is probably going to put like at least 1,500 pounds of tension on there. So.
All right. So we are just doing a bunch of splicing today. I was on that call with Luke from Kraken Structures last night, and he kind of walked me through the way. He wanted me to splice our shrouds with his, really in general, it's the same way as with the Caligo fittings. And it's pretty simple, it's just a Brummel splice on each end of the shroud. The biggest difference from anything I've ever done is the cover, the chafe sleeve here. Just kind of measuring and putting it on at the right time, and just the technique to do that. It's definitely, parts of it are a little tedious, but the concept of everything is very relatively simple. So we're just doing our forward lowers right now. We're gonna finish them before we move on to any of the shrouds. Finish them and mount them, and just make sure that everything is good before we do the rest of our shrouds. So they're kind of, yeah, preliminary ones. Yeah, basically the process is just a Brummel splice on each end, but incorporating the chafe sleeve before you do the splice on each end. Then from there, we have to tension it to get all the constructional stretch out of it, this stretch that we're adding into it while we're doing the splicing. I think we're just gonna use our winch and put it on a forward cleat on the boat and try to stretch it as much as we can without putting too much tension that's gonna compromise the cleat or anything like that. And then from there, we can milk the cover all the way down, get it nice and tight and snug against the Dyneema core. Then from there we can take it off the winch and then sew the end of that cover on. Then we're pretty much done with the shroud. Then we just got to mount it up top, and then we got to just lash it together at the bottom. You'll see.
What you doing? Crisscross applesauce?
I'm just making new shrouds that's gonna hold up our mast.
It's been a splicey day. Get it? Because we spliced all day? Do you guys get it? Billy doesn't find my jokes very funny. I think I'm hilarious though. Billy is putting a cover on our Dyneema shrouds to protect it from UV and chafe. Fancy, fancy. I learned to splice. I am now a professional.
Is it hard?
No. Unless Billy steals the knife and then breaks the knife and then I have nothing to cut with.
Because you can only really cut it with the ceramic knife. I mean, I'm sure you could use other stuff, but we have a ceramic knife we use to cut it.
And now we don't.
Would you say it was easy?
I would say it was easy.
So you gotta measure twice and think about cutting twice and then cut in the right spot. Where'd my tape go? Do you know where my electrical tape went?
Jody ate it.
Oh, there it is.
There you are. She's bored of splicing.
Oh, you. Well, adding this cover, like this is what the Dyneema looks like. This is what it looks like with the cover on. It's really not that hard. The toughest parts are just sewing this cover to the little short piece of cover on the eye. It's just a little bit tedious. It's really not hard. And then really milking the cover and getting it nice and tight on the Dyneema, because as you pull the cover, it gets tighter and tighter onto that line. We don't want any slack in the cover. And then trimming the very end of the cover while it's still on the line. Now, there's two ways to do this. We could just have one piece of cover go down the whole line, and then we could pull the Dyneema core out of part of that cover and then do our splice. It makes the splicing a lot harder, but it comes out a little bit neater, a little bit stronger of a cover at the splice. But this way makes the splicing a lot easier. Like I said, a little bit tedious to sew the cover back onto itself. It doesn't have to be as strong. There's no strength coming out of that cover. It's just to protect the Dyneema from the sun and maybe a little bit of chafe like on the actual line itself. I actually put a little bit of shrink wrap tubing on this part just to protect the thread a little bit, polyester, wax polyester thread, clean it up a little bit.
Okay, give us a little lowdown on what's going on.
I'm about to go up the top of the mast and mount our back stays up there.
So you gotta go way up there. And it's pretty windy. I guess your life's gonna be in my hands then. How do you feel about that? Don't answer that question. Once the backstays are up, we can take down this ugly contraption and we can look more like a sailboat rather than someone that has lines holding up their rig.
Alright. just got our package in from Kraken Structures, and I'm really super excited to see what this stuff looks like. Let's see what we got here.
Reusable bags. How nice. That's much better packaging than bubble wrap. Way to go.
Yes. Alright, so these are our frapping knot lines. He's got some stickers in here, which is awesome. These are like just Velcro to help secure the very end of the frapping knot line. And some whipping twine. Ooh, look at these little goodies. Oh man. Some nice soft shackles. I think Luke makes his soft shackles a little different. Yeah. Wow, interesting. And he's got, this must be that like paint, that, I forget what you call it, but you can like paint line with it. It's like a plastic coating. Wow. And these are the goodies. The dead eyes. Wow.
It's so weird how excited you are.
Really? They're so nice.
Okay, next item on the list.
Pretty excited about these suckers. Port and starboard.
Fancy, fancy.
So we got 4 of those total. What else did he send us? Oh, some more thimbles. So this is the shroud, the extra shroud he made. My sewing job looks pretty similar to his. I wonder what this is for. Oh, this must be for tensioning.
Hello, little pupper dog. We're about to get some crazy weather, but we're trying to get everything done and measured before, because I think we're supposed to be here for a couple days, so at least we can get some stuff done inside with our splicing. Why, it's nasty. Ooh, it's pretty windy.
Isn't that Jimmy Buffett's boat?
Are we in Margaritaville? Something time? Do you know the name, Billy?
No.
Howdy, my friends. We are measuring our last bit of measurements, taking our last bit of measurement, and it's golden hour, so show you the nice little sunset. Billy is up on the mast, and we're getting very important measurements. How you doing up there?
The waves are so good.
Try to show you, he has the end of the tape measure tied on to the very edge of the spreader, and we're taking the measurements in sections so we get it as accurate as possible. "14 feet 10 inches. Okay, one left. Oh.
Like that's the salt water from surfing.
Ew, you're dripping it on my face.
It's coming out of my nose.
You're disgusting.
It's nice out right now.
Hey, pretty girl. Good?
That's good. All right. Our third to last stay. I just did the 2 cap shrouds. So we're gonna go to shore and pre-tension them using my truck, and then we only got 2 more, the 2 intermediates, and then that's it. We'll have everything spliced. Hopefully by the end of tomorrow we'll have all our shrouds up. Super excited. When we splice this, we put the constructional stretch into the splice and the line, so we're gonna use my truck and tension it against something solid and just put a lot of pressure on it and try to get all that constructional stretch out. And then shouldn't have to adjust it probably once after while we're sailing, but that's about it.
Okay, Billy, which stays are those?
The two longest ones, the cap shrouds.
And how much do you think those two weigh?
By themselves, like maybe 5 pounds.
Okay.
3 or 4 pounds.
I'm gonna ask you that question again when we get the other ones off. How much do you think it weighs? This is Luna. We're babysitting. Say hi, Loons. Jetty's having a sleepover. Luna's a little nervous of everything, but she's getting used to it.
Can you help me measure these real quick, Bob? So we just measured before we're gonna get all this constructional stretch out of the lines to see how much we're actually getting out. They're both exactly 43 feet and a half an inch. Ooh, that's tight. While it's nice and tight like this, I'm just gonna milk the chafe sleeve cover all the way up onto the other splice. So this is the one we just pre-stretched, and this is the one we haven't stretched yet. We'll measure it when we're done, but that's how much constructional stretch we add into there. It's just room in the splice and the strands. We're just putting room in there. Now we're just stretching it back out. All right, let's do it with the other line. Alright, we'll do a little sitting on this, get that extra bit of pressure on this line.
Billy's truck's gonna break.
Alright, let's get out of here before the cops come and like, what are you doing, trying to pull it down the light post?
Eat us alive.
Oh yeah, the no-seams are so bad right now. We gotta measure. Let's measure and see how much stretch we got out of it. Alright, so I think it was 43 feet and a half an inch. Let's see what we got now. Perfectly even right there? Yeah. Alright, pull that tape tight. Right where that eye is, it's 43 feet and 6.5 inches. So 6 inches of constructional stretch. Craziness. Very cool. So today we are installing, between today and tomorrow we're installing the cap shrouds and the intermediates. Cap shrouds, for those of you guys who don't know sailing, they're the ones that go from next to the mast through the two spreaders and then all the way up to the very top of the mast. And they help hold the mast up straight with the spreaders and keep it from going side to side or flexing side to side with the spreaders. So this is what we're using. Right now what's up there is they're like stem ball fitting inserts. They like go into the mast and it's a little metal piece and then the stem ball comes out of there. I don't know, kind of funky, but there's holes in the mast already. So we're using Caligo's Cheeky Tangs. So it's pretty much this setup is going through the mast, through those same holes that are already up there. And then just the shrouds will, the eye goes right over here. We have a little screw to hold it in place just to keep it from popping out or whatever. We also have a compression, G10 compression tube. So that's gonna go in first. And then it'll come out flush with the mast here on both sides, and then that way when we tighten these Cheeky Tangs, it won't compress the mast section and won't be able to fold in because it's just compressing against the compression tube. Things look awesome. I'm really excited to get this installed. We have some rubber backing that they came with on both inside surfaces of the Cheeky Tangs because they're aluminum. And the mast, well, I guess the mast is aluminum too, but they might be two different kinds of aluminum, and it'll just help isolate them from each other, which is great. And yeah, probably put some Tef gel on this bolt where it's touching the aluminum. We have the mast supported with a halyard here, another halyard to that front cleat. I know it's not, it's just kind of helping it sideways. And then we're gonna do another one on the other side, a halyard. It's actually not going to be halyard. I'm going to tie a line up there to the top and then run it down through a block and then to this main winch. And then I'm going up on the other spinnaker halyard. I just want to make sure the mast is nice and supported so it doesn't fall down.
That would suck.
Did you introduce them to Luna already?
She's a little nervous of many things, but she loves the beach.
Jay's like, what? So the other thing we got to do before that's the first step, installing that cap shroud. And then the other thing we have to do is both the cap shrouds and the intermediates go through the spreader tips, the ends of the spreader, which are a piece of aluminum. And we're gonna have to bore that out a little bit and round off the top edges so that the new Dyneema synthetic shrouds can go through it, and there's no edges or sharp things that's gonna wear through that the chafe sleeve and then the Dyneema shroud. So that's gonna be another process. I don't know how I'm gonna do it. I'll probably take the caps off up there and then bring them down and try to just work on them down here using a drill bit file and then emery cloth. I think that's what we'll do. All right, it's that time. Going up the mast. My life is in Sierra's hand. Wish me luck.
So the cap shrouds are down, and now it's time to investigate. What'd you find?
Well, there's no nut. There's no water. That's the bad thing about these closed body turnbuckles, is that water can just sit in there. I've heard that same opinion from at least one other person. I think it's a general consensus that the open body turnbuckles are better. I think, but it makes sense because water, like most of these closed body turnbuckles I have taken apart have water in them. But there's no jam nut on the bottom of this, which means it probably cracked off at some point.
Which we should have noticed.
And then this one is completely cracked.
Check it out.
Check it out.
Check it out, chickadee. Yeah, I can see it. Bring it a little closer. Yep. Crack straight through.
Isn't that crazy? I did discover this a month or two ago.
At that point, we weren't moving.
Yeah, at that point we really weren't even sailing. It's gonna feel so good to have everything new and replaced, and especially with synthetic rigging and all the even the hardware is just mostly aluminum, and then just some stainless thimbles here and there.
So these are rusted. We haven't noticed anything like super major, but they definitely have rust on them.
We haven't seen any broken wires or anything yet, which I'm pretty surprised about, especially because we do see a lot of rust on them. It's not like covered in rust, but there's definitely rust all up and down forming.
And our anchorage is popping. People everywhere. Jetty's just chilling. Okay, so pick them up both up and tell me how much you think they weigh.
Between 30 and 40 pounds.
Total or each?
Total.
Let me. I use 20-pound dumbbells, so I'll have a good idea. Yeah, I'd say 20 each.
We'll let you guys know for sure when we get an exact weight on this stuff. What did we say our shrouds? We thought like 5 pounds total between the two of them. That's like 30 to 40, but plus the just some of the hardware on the shroud right now, the thimbles and the cheeky tang, but still definitely less than 10 pounds. So probably less than a quarter of the weight. I'm gonna get all the weights of everything and put them in like a spreadsheet, and we'll see how much we're actually saving.
Stay tuned on Tula's Technical Talk. And what are you doing? Just chilling? Do you like boat life?
So I just spent like an hour making the hole. This is the upper spreader, so only one shroud is going through it. This hole is not used, but I just made the hole a little bit bigger and then filed off the top and bottom edges really nice, and then used a few different grits of emery cloth, pretty much like sandpaper for metal, to really make it nice and smooth, all the way up to like 150. So there's no sharp edges on them, nothing sharp at all. This is the spreader cap, and I'll have to do the other surface, the inside surface, that the stay is gonna have the most pressure against, and just make sure that's filed a little bit and then super smooth, so we don't get any chafe in there.
So you are on the very last part of it, Billy. How do you feel?
Good. When you could just dedicate a few hours to splicing it, like, you can get a lot done. And if we didn't have this chafe cover, like if we were just splicing the shrouds without the chafe cover, it's so easy. Like, I'd be done with 2 already, and what, it'd take me like less than an hour to do 2, probably closer to 30 or 40 minutes to do 2. Maybe not even. It's so easy. The chafe cover makes it take a little bit longer, but it's gonna be worth it for us, I think. You know, protect them, and especially from the sun. If we don't get chafe through the chafe cover, then these shrouds could theoretically last forever. Like, the only thing that'll wreck them is chafe and UV, and they'll be protected from both. Something could chafe through the chafe cover and potentially damage them, and then we would have to replace them, but we'll try to be really careful not to let that happen.
And the black, not that looks matter, but the black gives it a pretty cool look.
Yeah, it looks cool with all the black shrouds. I like it. I'm so happy.
And you?
Last one, all spliced up. Time to stretch.
What did they start out at? And
I
what
don't
did
know, I gotta look it up. I wrote it down. So the finished stretched result is 30 feet 2 inches, and it started at 29 feet 8 inches. So that's 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2. Another 6 inches. So that seems standard. That was what our cap shrouds were as well, 6 inches. It's the same, even though the intermediates and the cap shrouds are different lengths, that constructional stretch is the same because it's the same splice on each end, no matter how long the line is. So I think it's also, that consistency is telling us that we're not getting any stretch out of the actual line, and that's because it's Dyneema ducts. Ooh, yeah. So stay tuned for the next video. I'll show you guys the finished product of our synthetic rigging and how we tensioned them. It was slightly different for the Caligo style fittings and everything, and then a little bit different for the Kraken structure, dead eyes and fittings. If you want to really dig into the technical side of this stuff, check out our other channel we just started, Tula Tech Talk, and I'm gonna post a lot more stuff there and really dig into just the technical side of all this stuff. So check it out there. I think I'm gonna make a video. There's so many different types of Dyneema and strengths and weaknesses, and there's rules you have to follow when you're using Dyneema for different applications. So I think I'm gonna make a whole video kind of congregating all the information and research that I've done in the past year and a half and my experience with the material in the past year and a half, and just put it in one spot in one video. I'm no expert at all. I've just done some research and talked to a lot of people and had experience doing our rig, and this video is not meant to be a guide or anything like that. It's just kind of to give you a rough idea of what the process was putting our rig together. If you are an expert and you think I did something wrong, then definitely comment below. We get a lot of these types of comments, but if you think I really did something wrong, then definitely comment below and I'll research it, and if you happen to be right, I'll definitely pin it to the top, make sure that the correct information is out there. I definitely will invite Kraken Structures and Caligo to comment below, and they'll hopefully answer some of your technical questions about synthetic rigging and everything we did in this video. Don't forget to go and check out the Tula shop, and we have a few items left from our old adrenaline sales. We have some of these travel kits, some crossbody bags in different colors, and some really nice duffel bags. We didn't get anything for free for doing all our standing rigging and everything, so pretty much we used all the profits from the Tula shop to pay for that stuff. So thank you guys so much if you have shopped in the Tula shop, and if you haven't, or you're interested in some more products, check it out. The link's always in the description. And yeah, anything else?
Thanks for putting up with all these boat work videos. Just a couple more and then you get to see that stuff.
Ooh.
So thanks for being patient with us.
They like the boat work videos.
Yeah, but they like the blue water better.
Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you next time.